students, welcome back to Study Smart channel. Today we are going to look into Form 2 Chapter 8 Force and Motion. Let's start. First of all, let's look into the definition of force. Force is pushing and pulling of an object. That is the basic definition of force. Whenever you go to a supermarket or any shop, you can see that there is a push and pull instruction on the door. So when you open the door, you are actually exerting some kind of force. And there are few types of forces that we need to know. The first one is normal force, gravitational force, frictional force, elastic force, buoyant force, and weight. The first force is normal force. What does it mean by normal force? Normal force is, just like the name indicates, is the force that every object in the world will face. Okay, so let's say you put an object on top of a table. Okay, so there's a table and then you put an object on top of the table. So in this case, both the object and also the table will have normal force acting on them. So on the object, the normal force will be exerted by the table, and for the table, the normal force will be exerted by the object. And there's one thing to take note, that the normal force will be perpendicular to the surface in contact. What does it mean by perpendicular? Perpendicular means it should be 90 degrees to the surface in contact. So if you see over here, there is another thing to take note, that the normal force for the object, actually it will act on the table, so that's why it will be downwards, the direction will be downwards. And for the object, the normal force that is being exerted by the table, because table is downwards, the object is upwards, so the normal force will be by the table will be from down to up. Same goes to the second picture over here. There's an object over here, the green color box over here, and then the force exerted by this green box on the table will be downwards, and by the table on the object will be upwards. So now let's look into gravitational and frictional force. Look into gravitational force. What does it mean by gravitational force? It is a force that is being exerted by the gravity of the earth. So based on the gravity, what we know is every object or human beings, that's staying on the earth, they will have the gravitational force that is being acted upon by the earth's surface. That's why you can see an example over here. The boy is actually throwing a ball, he is throwing upwards, but because of the gravitational force, even though the ball is being thrown upwards, eventually it need to come down on the surface. This is all because of the gravitational force. And same goes to us. Because if there is no gravitational force, just in case if there is no gravitational force, we cannot stand on the ground. We will be flying, because there is no gravitational force. That's the importance of gravitational force. And second thing, we have frictional force. What does it mean by frictional force? Frictional force in Malay we call as geseran. Geseran means when you dragging an object, dragging an object, this guy is dragging to the right hand side, but there will be a frictional force that is acting on the opposite side. So the frictional force, is it to say that it is actually a force that limit, or resist, it will cause resistance, it will limit the movement of an object, and it is also, you can say, it is a dragging force. So the meaning of frictional force means whenever something is moving on a certain direction, there will be a frictional force acting on the opposite direction. Example of another frictional force that we face on daily basis is when you walk on the floor. When you walk on the floor, even your feet also, there is some frictional force acted upon by the floor on your feet. And same goes to the car that moving on the road. The car tires will have some frictional force that actually preventing the car from going fast. So that's why you have an accelerator for you to overcome the frictional force. The next force is weight. What does it mean by weight? Normally, students tend to mistaken weight with the body mass. Okay, when I say that my body weight is 50 kg, okay, if I say my body weight is 50 kg, it is actually wrong in terms of science, because weight, the unit for weight is Newton. Okay, if 50 kg means it is equals to mass. Okay, this is something you need to know. Mass, the unit is kg. For weight, the unit is Newton. What does it mean? What is the difference between mass and weight? Okay, it's just that weight is 9.81 times the mass. Okay, 9.81 times the mass. Or for your easy calculation, for now you can just assume it's 10. Okay, 10 times with the mass, because 9.81 is almost equals to 10. So for your easy understanding, just imagine weight is 10 times the mass. So my weight is, if my body mass is 50 kg, my weight will be 500 Newton. Newton is the SI unit for weight. Okay, Newton. Newton we can write as Newton, or for easy you can just put a capital N. Okay, so you can see over here the definition of weight. Weight is just another word for the force of gravity. Okay, the gravitational force that acting upon an object is known as weight. So you can see over here the difference between weight and mass. My weight on the earth is around 560 Newton. My weight on the moon is around 90 Newton. But my body mass always 56 kg. Okay, what does it mean by 56 kg? Okay, you can see over here the weight on the earth is 560 Newton, but on the moon is much lesser. It's only 90 Newton. Why is it so? Because the gravity on the earth is stronger. The gravity on the earth is much stronger than the gravity on the moon. Okay, because weight is the force of gravity. Okay, the gravity of the place that you are standing will affect your weight. Okay, so same goes to this 9.81. What does it mean by this 9.81? 9.81 is showing the gravitational acceleration of the earth. So if you go to a moon, the gravitational acceleration will be no longer 9.81. It will be lesser than this. Maybe it is just 5. Okay, so it will be different. On the moon, the gravitational force is lesser than the earth. That's why your body weight on the moon will be much lesser compared to your body weight on the earth. Okay, let's look into the next force, buoyant force. Okay, the definition of buoyant force is the measure of the upward force a liquid exerts on an object that is submerged. Okay, so what does it mean by this? Buoyant force, when I say buoyant force, you need to remember that it is a force that helps you to stay on the surface of a water. Okay, so if you put an object, okay, example, there is a ball over here, pink color ball and yellow color ball. So when we put the ball, okay, if the buoyant force that is acting on the pink color ball is more than the weight of the ball, okay, so buoyant force is something that will make you to stay on the water surface. So you can think of buoyant force as a something that helping you, okay, like your friend helping you to stay on the surface. Okay, it will prevent you from sinking on the water. That is buoyant force. So over here, for the pink color ball, the buoyant force is actually more than the weight of the ball. Okay, when the buoyant force is more than the weight of the ball, it will actually, the ball will be floating on the water. Here the second situation, the buoyant force of this yellow color ball is actually lesser than the weight of the object. Means the weight of this yellow color ball is much bigger than the buoyant force. So this will cause the ball to sink under the water. Okay. So the next force is elastic force. This is quite easy. Elastic force means stretching. Okay, elastic is equals to stretching. Anything that is stretched, okay, and it can come back to its own original surface, original shape after you release the stretching. It is known that the object have high elasticity. So definition is the ability of an object to resume its normal shape after being stretched or compressed. Okay, one example is rubber band, another is the spring. Okay, so this is all. When you compress the spring, okay, after you release the spring, it will come back to its original shape. So that is why we know that spring have elastic force. Now come back to the very interesting part, Newton's third law. Okay, Newton's third law. This is one of the scientific law that is very easy to remember. Okay, this law is known as action-reaction force. Okay, you can see the definition over here. For every action force, there is a reaction force with the same magnitude but opposite direction. What does it mean by that? Okay, first example. So this guy is actually pushing the wall. He is pushing the wall with a force of 100 Newton. So when he pushed the wall, his force is known as action force that is acting on the right side. So this is what we call as a action force. But when he actually exerted 100 Newton on the wall, there will be the same 100 Newton will be exerted by the wall to that guy, but in the opposite direction. So this is what being mentioned by the Newton's third law, which means for every action there is an opposite reaction in the same magnitude. Same magnitude means the value of the force will be same. So example over here, 100 Newton exerted by the boy to the wall, and the wall exert the same 100 Newton to the boy. It's just that the direction will be opposite. Look at the second example over here. Okay, for the swimmer over here, when he actually move his legs and also hand to swim, okay, he will actually, there is an action force by the swimmer. The swimmer pushes the water in the backward direction. So when he push the water in the backward direction, his force will be acting on the backward direction. But at the same time, the water also will exert a force on the swimmer in the opposite direction, which is the forward direction. So this means that whenever you are actually implementing a force to an object or a surface, okay, there will be an opposite reaction force that is being exerted on yourself. Okay, another example over here. When this person jump from the boat, he will exert a action force on the forward direction. So when he jump from the boat, he will there is a action force, and at the same time, because of his action force, there is a reaction force by the boat, okay, which will cause that the boat to move backward. Alright students, so for today we study about the type of forces, the definition of forces, and also the Newton's third law. Okay, now let's do some practice. Okay, the question here is actually telling, according to Newton's third law, for every action force there is an equal in magnitude and opposite in direction reaction force. In the following situations, identify the action force and reaction force. Okay, so they are asking us to identify which one is the action force, which one is the reaction force. Okay, first one, an object staying on the table. Okay, this example, object staying on the table, the action force should be exerted by the object. Okay, the object we put on the table, the object, the force, any force that exerted by the object is known as action force, and because of the action force, there will be a reaction force exerted by the table on the object. Okay, now the R and W, please identify which is the force that is being exerted by the object to the table. It is W, right? W is the action force because W is the force that is being exerted by the object to the table. Just now I got teach you guys. Okay, for the normal force, the action force will be facing downwards because the object exert on the table. So the object direction, the force direction should be downwards, and for the table to exert a force to the object will be on the opposite direction, which is upwards. So this R is actually reaction force. Okay, look into second example, an object floating in water. So the object is the block over here. So the force that is being exerted by the object is action force. So the force that is being exerted by the object will be facing downwards. So which is P? P is the action force, and the force that is by the water to the object is known as reaction force. So by the water to the object should be upwards, which is Q. So Q is your reaction force. Alright, so now we need to fill up this empty space over here by writing the type of forces. The first thing, force that makes things to fall to the ground. What is that force? Yes, it is gravitational force. I hope you got the answer correct. The second one, the force that acts on an object due to gravity. What is that force? It is weight. Weight is the force that acts on an object due to gravity. C, the force that acts on the object on the surface of an object when it moves against the surface of another object. Okay, please think, what is this force? Yes, it is frictional force. Frictional force is the force that will act on the surface of an object when it moves against another surface. Next, the force produced by stretching elastic materials. Very easy. Here they already give the keyword, elastic materials. So it is elastic force. E, the force produced when an object is in contact with a surface. Okay, this is the very first force that we studied, which is the normal force. And last but not least, the upthrust force that act on an object floating in fluid. Okay, so this one you can see the keyword is object floating in a fluid. So if it is a fluid, means it is buoyant force. Alright students, I will end the video over here. Let's meet again on the next video with more interesting facts about force and motions. Thank you and see you again.